from an undisclosed location, from a secret hunting spot known only to him, and the guy who told him about it, and possibly the guy who told him. It's the show all about hunting in New Zealand and around the globe. This is The Hunting Show. Now here's your host, Stephen Spargo.
Coming to you from Hawaii. That's right. Right now I'm in Hawaii and loving it. The weather's great. We're hanging out. I'm not doing any hunting over here, and according to Joe Byers, the hunting is great, so I think I might have to come back and give that a go. I've been reading a lot of the forums lately, and the forums have been great for the show. It actually has helped with topics that I need, a little bit of feedback about things I like and dislike about the show, and I'm a big boy, so I can handle that. And in fact, I'd like to thank those of you who have given me some really constructive criticism, as well as some really honest praise. So the forums are great for me. But I think there's an issue. The issue is it's one person's opinion. And I'm finding, particularly on some of the forums, a lot of the product reviews and bits and pieces tend to be negative. And I think the reason they're negative is you don't write about the great hunting boots that you got, and they worked absolutely perfectly from start to finish. You tend to only go on there when you've had a complaint, the retailer or the supplier maybe hasn't backed that up quite as well as they could have, and you're a bit pissed off. I reckon I take everything I read with a bit of a dose of salt, and I reckon that maybe you do too. I'm just wondering, how savvy are you at reading the forums, or are you looking at them as gospel? One of my favourite forums is the NZ Hunting and Shooting page, and if you don't know where that is, just Google New Zealand Hunting and Shooting Forum, and you'll find it. And what I like about that one is it's a little bit more community feel. I tend to get a lot more honest feedback from there rather than, or I feel like there's a lot more honest feedback there about product, both negative and positive. But even then, I just wonder how many people actually put anything on any sort of forum if they're completely happy with it. There's a saying in advertising, and that is that happy customers don't necessarily come back. Disgruntled customers will tell 100 people, and they'll tell 100 people. In fact, it might be 10 people. But let's exaggerate for the purposes of what we're trying to say here. So angry people tell lots of people, and raving fans might tell a couple of people. And there's a lot of products that I've bought that I've been a little bit unhappy about. But there's also a lot of products that I'm super happy with, and they go super well. For example, I love my Hennessy hammock. And I tell everyone that comes over and we start talking about hunting or going into the outdoors how good that product is. But I don't seem to get that response on the forums. It seems to be negative. I'd like your feedback on that, preferably some positive stuff about whether you take the feedback on the forums as gospel, or are they just a small part of your decision-making process. And let's be real. The forums are great. I use them before I buy a product just to see how they're going, but I suspect a lot of retailers and a lot of suppliers feel hard done by the feedback and the comments that are left on forums. Joined by Skype, I've got Laura from Queens of Camo, all the way from the United States, and in fact, as I mentioned earlier in the show, I'm in Hawaii, so much closer to you. Laura, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, gosh, how could I not be good?
Yeah, Hawaii, that's a great place to be.
It is indeed. And look, did you start Queens of Camo?
My husband and I started Queens of Camo a couple years ago, and the idea generated because I was kind of interested in hunting a little bit, and we started doing some research and realized there was not a lot out there for women, not a lot of message boards or resources to go to find. Women are so different than men in hunting. Just, I use a youth gun to hunt because a regular size gun is too large. And so just little things like that. We wanted to create a forum for other women to go and inspire young girls to get involved in the outdoors. Let them know it's not just a man's sport. In America, is it that what we find in New Zealand is a lot of women that hunt, it's either their husbands or their fathers that introduce it to them. Is it the same over there? I would say predominantly, yes. We found our slogan that we like to say is when a man goes hunting, but when a woman goes hunting, the whole family goes hunting. Just because women like to get their families involved in activities, and men usually I'm going to go out by myself and go hunting. But usually we find that somebody's boyfriend, father, something like that says, hey, I'll take you for the first time. And so. Actually, yeah. I quoted your website in last week's show when I was talking about youth
and how to get them into the outdoors. And I used your points and then added my own rant into the conversation, but about how hunting can help young people and young women as well.
Yes, absolutely. It's so encouraging to see little girls go out with their fathers and do something that they would not normally have done probably 15 years ago. It's really, really encouraging to see girls get out there in the outdoors and do something.
In New Zealand, I think that hunting for women has been around forever. My grandmother, for example, talks to me about shooting red stags off the back of their farm. But it's always been something a little bit not talked about. And with the onslaught of the New Zealand Women's Hunters Group, which is a massive force in New Zealand, I just wonder whether it's just become more prominent. Do you think that could be the case there?
It certainly could be. The statistics have shown that there's been a ridiculous increase in the number of women who signed up for hunting licenses and getting tags. They pulled demographics on all that. So it's just skyrocketed over the last 10 years even.
Now,
getting bigger.
Just a side point there. You mentioned getting tags. It's something that's a little bit foreign to me here. I've never had to deal with that. What's that all about?
I know. Well, so we have to have a tag to go hunting. So here, where I'm from, in the central part of the U.S., we're limited to the amount of limited to the amount of animals that we can take during a season. So we have to tag. And that's the way the government helps control that. And we have to pay a fee to get our tags.
Hey, we're very lucky in New Zealand. Hunting here is a relatively free sport. You've got to have a firearms license, and as long as you stick to dockland and don't do any poaching, and no New Zealand hunter does any poaching, of course. But basically it's a free sport here, and I was amazed to find out how restricted it is. Certainly, it depends on what state you're in, I've found, but it is a restricted sport.
It is, very much so. Now, our first episode, we did a hunt down in Texas and did a hog hunt, and now those are unrestricted. They've caused such destruction and massive chaos down there, so there's unrestricted. And a lot of times they're paying people to get the hogs off their land. So,
what would be a decent-sized hog in the United States?
Oh, gosh, I've seen hogs 250 pounds, just huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah. They're no good to eat, though.
Oh,
no
really?
Good. They're gross. They lay in their own feces, and the bigger they get, the worse they are.
Now, back to women hunters. I asked the question of Stacey from the New Zealand Women Hunters Group, who's one of their founders, about the differences. What does a woman take hunting versus what does a man take hunting? And her answer for me was almost exactly the same thing, except she takes baby wipes.
Oh, yeah. I would say mine would probably be toilet paper.
Yeah, I think that's where the baby wipes might come into play. But
yes.
So now the Queens of Camo group is massive on Facebook. I couldn't believe the amount of followers you have. It must be a force.
It is. It's like it's taken a life of its own. It's a great resource for women to share their experience and encourage others to keep going. Right now we're doing a calendar contest. So we have tons of ladies submitting their photos of themselves with their most recent kills or their best kill, and trying to make a calendar for Queens of Camo.
Now, the interesting thing about that, for research purposes only, I did have a decent look through your calendar pics, and one thing I noticed, and I promise you it was for research, and you can see me on video, so that smirk didn't work, but one thing I noticed is pink camo wasn't there.
Yeah, so pink camo, we've learned, is a love or a hate relationship.
Oh, really?
People either love it and have pink guns, pink bows, pink arrows, nocks, everything pink, or there is no pink. And so there's nobody we have found that has been partial pink. It's all or nothing.
It's interesting. My wife wears pink camo when she comes hunting with me, and she, by the way, doesn't hunt. She just kind of walks with me and turns away when the gross stuff happens. That's her words. But I've actually got a great picture of her walking through the middle of the Poira forest, and you won't know where that is. But I took the photo because I was walking behind her and noticed she had a pink camo handbag with her.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's what I thought as well. I'm glad you thought it was awesome because Stacey from New Zealand Women's Hunters was like, really? What? Handbag in the bush? Okay, so Tell us about what we always ask people, what's a great hunting story you've got?
Well, I am new to hunting, and my father-in-law is a huge hunter. My dad is a huge hunter, but I've never really gone. It was always my dad and brother that went, and my husband kind of has helped me get into it a little bit. And so I went pheasant hunting, and I got a pheasant for the first time, and that was like major, super awesome because it moves. It's a moving target, and it's not a very big target compared to like a turkey who walks pretty slow. And so that was super exciting to get that pheasant, and it only took one hit, one shot.
First shot, Laura. Well, I like that. Now, just going forward, I think that some of the other things I've found is the differences between hunting around the world. It's all kind of the same art or the same craft, but I think one thing about New Zealand is that the bush here is absolutely gnarly, and I know you don't know a lot about it, but as the gear over there seems to be getting very high tech, and where ours seems to be more industrial strength, you know? Sure.
It is absolutely amazing to me how many things are coming out as far as the clothing attire. You've got Airwick fabric, like things that you would think of for like endurance sports that are made for hunting now. It's just incredible. All sorts of rain gear, and it's just phenomenal. I like to just go basic camo.
Yeah, basic. One thing about that, actually, it was a part of one of our previous shows, was do you think that the technology that's now coming into hunting is dumbing down our sport?
This is a total personal opinion, but I do. I am not a person who believes in hunting just to kill. I feel like if you're going to take an animal, you need to use it for meat and use the resource for what it is, and be grateful for this animal that you are so privileged to have taken. And so I feel like making it too easy is changing the competitiveness of the human animal aspect. And I would prefer to keep hunting with basic things. I have a recurve bow that I think I would like to learn. Obviously, that's a super technical thing to learn how to take a deer with that or take a turkey with it. But I'm not going to do it until I get perfect at it. But I think that's part of the fun and part of the challenge.
Now, just on that point of bow hunting in the United States seems like a far larger sport than it is here. Here it's an emerging sport.
Oh, interesting. No, here, do you guys have like bow, like shooting competitions?
Yeah, again, emerging.
Okay, yeah, the huge tournaments for shooting and targets and that kind of thing with bows. It's incredible, and now we're starting to see more of women's categories, which is fantastic, and we like to see that.
And
so they don't have to compete with the men.
We've found here most of the hunting competitions and tournaments have only recently added women's categories, and a lot of that stemmed from a group of women actually winning one of the men's hunting tournaments.
Oh my gosh, rock on. That's awesome.
Do you see much of that happening there?
Because I'm so new to this field, all the tournaments that I've been to have had women's division. So I mean, some of the girls that can shoot can definitely keep right up there with the guys. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've actually found women are a better shot than men, as a rule.
They might be. There might be a calmness and a perfectionism, and and I think there's always something in women that like we got to be better than men. If a guy can do this, I can do it too.
Yeah, and girl power and all that sort of stuff.
Girl power, yeah.
Going forward from that, though, do you, with regards to hunting in the USA, is it becoming a sport that is frowned upon? Is it going underground? We're finding exactly the opposite here, where it was something that wasn't really talked about, where now there's TV shows, internet sites, radio shows like this one. In the States, I see lots of anti-hunting Facebook pages and lobby groups. And I even saw a bizarre comment from one of them that was, buy your meat at the supermarket, that way no animals were harmed,
Oh, no.
Yeah, so
oh, no.
Is that the case, or is that just a perception we have?
I think that might be just a perception. I think for every anti-hunting group, there's hunting groups. And I think the hunting groups are probably larger than the anti-hunting groups. We have full channels dedicated to the outdoors and hunting.
Really?
And, you know, it's a huge, huge industry here, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.
Tell me more about Queens of Camo and the activities you're doing with that.
Yeah, so we have one episode on YouTube right now. That was our pilot episode, and we're in the works to try to create a second episode right now. We find that the web-based forum is a better avenue for us at this current point, and so just trying to get the social media going and creating a buzz about what Queens of Camo is. We've got blogs that happen on our website for people to ask questions, and oftentimes dads send us a question about, hey, my daughter's going to do this. What do you think she should get, or what's your recommendation from a woman's standpoint? So that's always really encouraging and very rewarding to be able to be a part of somebody's getting involved in the outdoors. But we just want to keep on growing, keep on building the brand, and getting more women out there.
And is Queens of Camo a worldwide brand, or is it exclusively for American women?
I don't think it's exclusively for American women. I just think that because we've been started in the States, we're predominantly from the States. But we'd love to have New Zealand hunters join the group and add to our forum and do all that. So, certainly not exclusive.
I suspect after this radio show you might get a few.
That'd be fantastic. Take them on a hunting trip with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And you might even have to come out to good old New Zealand and have a try.
You know, I think we can probably, you know, if we have to come to New Zealand to do a hunting trip, we might have to, you know.
Absolutely. And I promise you we'll find you a decent spot and you'll be impressed.
That'll be fantastic.
So
looking forward.
If, Laura, people want to find you, where do they find you?
They can go to Facebook and find us at search Queens of Camo, or you can go to www.queensofcamo.com.
And when's that calendar coming out?
It's going to be for this 2014-2015 year, starting in December. So it'll be towards the end of the year.
Are you going to send me one?
I will send you one.
Yes. I will look forward to that. Hey, thank you so much. Now, in the comment section of this podcast, I'm going to put links to all of those Facebook pages and websites we mentioned. And let's catch up again in a little while, eh?
Absolutely. That sounds great. Nice talking to you.
Remember, you can win some great prizes with Gerber by being active on our Facebook page, sending us emails, and being generally involved with the show, not only on social media, but also in some of the forums, because we love giving out prizes. There's more to come. We've got some great interviews coming up with some of New Zealand's premier suppliers. And do you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to go back to enjoying Hawaii, spending some time with my wife. Thank you very much, guys. Good hunting.
Broadcasting from an undisclosed location, from a secret hunting spot known only to him, and the guy who told him about it, and possibly the guy who told him. It's a show all about hunting in New Zealand and around the globe. This is The Hunting Show. Find The Hunting Show on Facebook and Twitter for up-to-date information on upcoming shows and topics.